Hey Jeff and Shara, this is Grant Putnam here, about 5:30 here on Saturday early evening. Just wanted to shoot this over to you to try to explain or coordinate with the proposal that I shot over. So you'll notice I broke down the proposal into different areas of the property. So I have the front foundation plantings, which are here. All right, I've got the plantings along the stone wall adjacent to the street, which are here, okay, in this area. I've got the plantings around the fence behind the driveway, which are going through here. This area is actually, the wall's a little closer than it was before, but anyways, it's on both sides of the new fence going through here. To do that, remember, we got to cut the driveway. I've got another area around the pool equipment, rear foundation of the house, and then along the front of this new boulder wall, which extends through here. Okay, so let's take a look at that proposal. Let's see here. So the front foundation of the house, I was able to measure using Google Earth, and you've got about 62 linear feet of exposed foundation or siding in between the two front stoops. All right, and that's how I kind of came up with some basic numbers as far as how many boxwoods you need and whatnot. All right, a lot of the plants in the front we'll be able to transplant. There's some nicer boxwoods, again, we'll be able to reuse. In regards to transplanting and figure out where everything's going to be located, the design, obviously, at that point in time, you'll be able to kind of think that through and reutilize the value of the existing plants that you already have on your property. Okay, so on the side and again, this is just more of an exercise to give you pricing, because without doing the design, we're not going to be as creative and give you more. We'll be able to give you a lot more options once we get to that phase. But as of right now, we're kind of just going along our conversation. This way you can get a sense of value. All right, so the taller evergreens flanking the two sets of stairs. There's two entrances, two doors at the front foundation of the house. So I gave you, again, option 1, option 2. You'll notice that I put a lot of notes and caps mentioning what the typical landscaper, if they had to go buy it locally from a wholesaler, number one, the wholesaler would have to special order these, because there are no American boxwood that are perfect globe shape of the same quality that you're going to be able to buy locally. So typically what a landscaper would do is they would go to a local wholesale vendor and ask them to source it for them. And at that point, you're going to end up spending a lot more. That landscaper is going to have to deal with the middleman. And we take the opposite approach. We know where to source it. We pre-purchase the material, and that gives us a decisive advantage, again, on the boxwood and in regards to quality. Again, if you look at the boxwoods at Reganato's house, which is the one over there on Elmwood Road, and compare that to any boxwood you're going to be able to get from a local vendor or local wholesaler, there's going to be no comparison. All right, so anyways, that's the front, and then each category has its own subtotal. So for the front foundation, the house, which involved most of the plantings, was around 15,600 plus tax. All right, as we make our way down here, plantings along the stone wall adjacent to the street. So again, I gave you a couple different options of hydrangeas, and that subtotal was about 2,500. Plantings along new fence behind the driveway. So again, you have plantings on both sides of the fence, and per design you're going to make decisions as far as what strategy you're going to go with. But you'll notice I labeled everything here and I gave you pricing and everything. So that was about, subtotal for that was about 5,000. Plantings in a pool area and rear foundation of the house. There's so many different ideas there in regards to, for example, where the beds, you might even put beds at the corners of the patios behind the pool. But I left it very open-ended. I just gave you a possible budget of, say, around 3,500 for that. Plantings to soften the pool fence as exposed behind the pool. Same thing, we're not sure until we design it in regards to, okay, how much of that area is going to be lawn space, how much of the area is going to be planting bed, Do we want evergreens to screen the fence, which are more expensive than deciduous, like flowering shrubs that drop their leaves? Do we want a mix? Do we want more of a natural look or more of a formal look? So there's a lot of different possibilities. So I left that completely open-ended. I didn't even associate a budget to that, because without putting the design together first, we really can't pinpoint that. Lawn installation. This was based on the areas of lawn that have already been disturbed by the pool company. You're definitely going to need some topsoil. You're going to need to have Franco do some regrading, as we talked about, where the fence extends off the back right corner of the driveway. And then also you want to make sure that there's no drainage issues before Franco leaves. So he's going to do the rough grading. He's going to take care of making sure the grading is correct, so you don't have any water sitting anywhere. He'll bring it to a rough grade, which he's pretty much done. All right, but again, he's got to touch it up here and there. And then what I'm quoting you is to skim coat it with topsoil. So I bring in screen topsoil mixed with compost, and then sodding the area, and I measured that to be about 9,700 square feet. So that was about $11,000, okay, for that. Irrigation modifications, we do that in-house service. You're not having to deal with multiple contractors. You have more of an ironclad guarantee. Depending on where you want to add your beds and whatnot, I gave you kind of a list of scope of work, but again, that could change based on what you decide you want to do. And I gave you a rough budget of around $4,500 for that, okay? Outdoor lights, same thing. I gave you some possible locations and ideas. It's one of our competitive advantages, the way we source our lights. Same thing, we buy them direct in large quantities, all brass fixtures. And that, again, is about $4,700. Okay, the subtotal for that. Transplanting shrubs, obviously you're going to end up transplanting some shrubs. So again, I gave you a budget for that. All right, and then the other services that you still need to think about is fencing. I'm assuming the fencing is probably going to cost you anywhere between, could be anywhere between 12 to 18,000 for the fence. And then any large tree takedowns, large tree prunings, and expanding the driveway across from the garage. Those are all services that I can recommend someone that we constantly work with almost on a weekly basis throughout the season, but it's not a service we do in-house. But again, to go along with that is, considering we had a relationship with them, we've got good relationship and we got leverage, so we've never had an issue because of that. So again, to reiterate, my competitive advantages is that we can do everything in-house, which should give you better quality. We're going to have better communication. I know you mentioned, obviously you want the highest quality product, so I'm always very available. We're very organized and very detailed, much like this quote, on how we approach a project. And we're able to give you economies of scale because of the fact that we're doing a full scope of work versus splitting it up into smaller projects. All right. The other thing is how we purchase and how we source our material. I mean, these are boxwood, so that's one of the more expensive items, but you're probably going to also include more ornamental trees. Same thing, we'll buy tractor trailers of trees directly from the growers versus the re-wholesalers, so we get a better quality, and it gives us a decisive advantage versus most of our competition. And the last thing is just, our history, our scope of work. If you talk to other clients, I think if you talk to Shara, if you talk to Simona or Mrs. Saporta or any of these other clients in Westport, they're going to all tell you a similar story. That we always stand behind our work, we always do the right thing, and we offer really quality product. So that's it. I appreciate the opportunity, and we'll take it from there. Thanks.